Greetings all. Welcome back to another episode of What the Fuck Is A reborG podcast. I want to say episode 10. Got the co-host with the most in the building. Boy, he is knocked the fuck out right now. Sleep like shit. He's like a homeless man at a bus station. Boy is fucking knocked out. Well, let's go ahead and get into these topics. Eastern Conference Finals. Game 3 was last night. The King came out, put the crown on for the hometown crowd, which I pretty much figured he would do. I wasn't expecting anything else, to be honest. I thought Boston was going to put a little bit more fight, but they didn't. And they got fucking scrubbed. The supporting cast for the Cavs, they actually showed up, and it was a good game for them. Western Conference Finals, I think Game 3 is tonight. Like I said before, bombs over Baghdad. There's going to be a lot of shooting out there, a lot of three-point shooting. That's your thing, watching. I've been enjoying it. I like the way that the Rockets adjusted in Game 2. I don't think they're going to stop going at Curry. I don't think that's not going to stop at all. And I think they figured that Durant's going to get his, but, they don't have any defenders to really give a threat to Durant as far as slowing them down. So I think what they're trying to aim for is trying to slow down Curry or Thompson and make sure that the inside presence isn't shown as much as it was in Game 1. Back to the Eastern Conference Finals. It'll be better judged after watching Game 4, because I'm pretty sure most people thought LeBron was gonna, take it to him. Some of the supporting cast would show up, but all of them showed up. I found it hysterical that J.R. Smith hit a three-pointer and shrugged his shoulders like he had been doing it all playoffs. I'm like, come on, man. Funny guy, man, but he always jumps out the window. Remember when he tried to shit on T-Mac for making the Hall of Fame? Like it was T-Mac's fault that he never made it to the finals. Come on, man. Grant Hill got hurt, never played in Orlando. And in Houston, he was injury prone. I was injury prone. They were in the West, so he had a lot of key factors. It wasn't like the guy wasn't good enough to do it. Just JR being disrespectful, if you ask me. But, keep shrugging your shoulders, because that's what most of us do when you have those 0 for 5 performances. That slows down the playoff talk and hockey. Capitals out here fucking up in these streets. They're trying. I will give them that. They just don't have the proper, third period defense to put any pressure on the Leafs. I don't think Ovechkin's going to get that title in Washington. I think he needs to travel somewhere else. Go play with Sid the Kid. Somebody. Go play with Nashville. They definitely need some damn goals. And shout out to the Golden Knights. I need to look this up. Are they going to be the most successful expansion team ever? Because they're doing it. I don't have nothing bad to say. They're making it happen. Keep going forward. Get these wins. And if you get the cup, make history. Watched the boxing match yesterday. Adonis Stevenson, who is a clown. Why this guy still has a belt, I have no idea. What was it, 3 or 4 years ago that Sergey Kovalev called him out, called him Adonis Chickerson, and called him out to the ring and all that stuff, and he made a whole lot of noise about how he was the champ and things of that nature. Still hasn't fought Kovalev. You figure after, you watched him fight Andre Ward, and Kovalev has some vulnerabilities. He didn't pick up on that. I think Adonis Stevenson knows that he's going to lose if he fights him. And even worse, he probably feels that he will get knocked the fuck out. Okay. In NFL news, mini camp started. That's just about it. The only good thing, go on YouTube and watch Kevin Hart and I think his name's Scott Eastwood. They went to the Rams camp and, did some workouts. It's funny and things of that nature. Outside of that, I don't know. Baker Mayfield trying to play down, getting put in a position to be the starter. At first, I thought they were going to set up Tyrod to fail so he won't be the quarterback next year. I think they're gonna pull this shit this year. I don't, Tyrod. I know you're not gonna listen, but if anybody who's listening knows him, got his number, Facebook or anything, tell him watch his back. They coming for your shit, whether you handle your business or not. I saw a First Take headline. I don't watch the show, and I don't watch the Skip and Shannon thing like that. I might just catch like glimpses on YouTube just to see what the headline is, because it's too big, to be shown at the front screen. You got to click on the video to see the title. And I saw T.O. saying Jason Garrett shouldn't be the coach. T.O. once again showing his hating ass ways. Like, bruh, you really got to stop. You really do, man. Like, just knock it off, man. I was riding for you when you said you needed to be in the Hall of Fame. Totally agreed with it. You deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. You had a great career. But why are you coming at his neck? Is it because the guy got you cut? Is it because he started the downward spiral, which was your career after that? Why the hate? Why are you still commenting on the Cowboys? They don't want shit to do with you. Let it go, man. And why fire him? What, you gonna bring somebody else in? There's not any like surefire coaches that you can just bring in to make it happen. Now, that's some older guys that you can bring in. Like, if you can pry Bill Cowher away from the desk, or see if you can get Jimmy Johnson to come back or something of that nature. But it's mostly older guys. There's no young hot shots that don't already have a job. And he's kept the team over 500. Of course, they didn't make the playoffs last year with Zeke's suspension, which I just read the other day no, that wasn't him. I apologize. I'm going to get to that one. But they lost Zeke on the suspension. How good did you think they were? Because that was the reason that they did make the playoffs the year before. With him as a rookie, because, they were good because, he was there. He wasn't there, so they took those slugs. Man, leave the fucking Cowboys alone. In other news, college football news, a report came out, and this is what I don't even understand why this is headline news, but as far as college football goes, but there's a report that Tua, the quarterback for Alabama, the one that won the national championship, said he was pondering a transfer. Of course you were pondering a transfer. You shouldn't have took your ass to the school with the team that already had an established quarterback who led the team to the championship. If he did not play as buns as he did in the national championship, you probably would have still transferred. You already knew he was there. Not only did you know, the country knew. I don't know what Nick Saban is pitching, but if you knew you were going to sit the bench. And the sad shit is, they actually brought you in the game. He played a lot of games, after they blown out a lot of players, which I think is the thing to do in college sports, especially football, when you blowing somebody out, get the youngins in there. You don't have to score them 80 points, man. And we up 20, 27, when you up in that range, go ahead and let the youngins get in. They won't know until they get out there. Of course, you're confident in your coaching, but they still need that game experience. But for him to say that he was pondering transferring, and especially to USC, you still would have sat. Would you been more comfortable sitting behind Sam Darnold? I don't get it. But he's got his spot. Wishing him the best. Kid's a great thrower. And another thing I wanted to harp on, as far as college football goes, Devin Ford, who is a top 10 recruit, running back out of Virginia, has verbally committed to Penn State. Now, I'm not a University of Virginia fan. I'm not a Virginia Tech fan. But I'm still pondering how they keep letting the top players in the state go. And one of the main things that you could gather among great college football teams is their ability to recruit nationally and locally, because you're going to need the local talent. Most states have enough talent where you could could actually make some noise if you just had players in state. And that's not just the Texas and the Florida and the Californias. You got Pennsylvania, Virginia, Michigan, Ohio, states like that. I'm not gonna say Alabama, North Carolina. you got Washington State. You have states that have talent like that, and for Virginia to continuously let the top players out of the state is just mind-boggling. I don't know what's going on. I think the top player from Virginia has left at least the last 5 years, and there was a time Jimbo Fisher was fucking Virginia up with Levante Taylor, Kalen LeBourne. Oh man, I forgot the defensive end that just got drafted. Oh, he went to Oscar Smith. But you guys got to tighten up. You have to get somebody in your assistant coaching staff, recruiting coordinator, anybody, somebody that has ties to the Seven Cities area and to the Richmond area that can get these kids to your school. You will not be successful. And this is for Virginia Tech. You will not be successful until you bring that in-state home cooking to your school. When Tech was making a lot of noise with the Vicks and Andre Davis, Marcus Vick, Jimmy Williams, D'Angelo Hall, Chris Ellis, like all those guys were from the Seven Cities. Can't speak for Andre Davis. I don't know. I haven't looked that up. But for the rest of the players I mentioned, they are from the Seven Cities area. And that's when Tech was at its highest. Why don't you guys get back to that? Okay? I don't know what you need to do. I'm not, versed in that world. But I know you can do it because it was previously done. So make it happen. And the bad thing is, it's not even Alabama taking the players. I can understand if it's Alabama, Nick Saban got recruiting pimp juice, man. He can make it happen, He warps the minds, and kids go to the school, and kids transfer like they. I didn't know this was going to. Of course you know this is going to happen. Silly ass shit. But for the Cavaliers and the Hokies, tighten your shit up, man. I want to see more players from the set playing for y'all. Getting back to the basketball news, draft lottery was this past week. I want to give a shout out to Phoenix. I don't think Phoenix has ever had the number one pick. Not in my memory. If they have, apologies, but I'm glad to see them get the number one pick. And the good thing about it is, I don't think they can fuck it up. Even if they don't pick up DeAndre Ayton, if they pick up Luka Doncic, who I think they're going to pick, they just picked up the coach that coached him last year. I think I mentioned this before, but he was the coach for him last year in the Euro Leagues. Why not? I mean, I don't see them fucking up either way. Because with Luka, you get a versatile player who can handle the ball. Devin Booker doesn't have to have the ball in his hands as much. He can move around. He can get this curl game on some Rip Hamilton type, Ray Allen, free him up for that great jump shot. It works both ways. If you bring in Ayton, you get a physical presence underneath the basket. A guy who I think is David Robinson reincarnated. I think he has a game very similar to David Robinson as far as physique. I'm so proud of myself for getting through that without laughing. And skill set, the same things that David Robinson did on the court. And for those who don't know, please look this guy up. David Robinson was a great basketball player. I know it's great players now, but you got to give props to the ones beforehand. I see that dying a little bit each time. Because when they talk about great players from the 90s era, it's always the same ones. Open up your Wikipedia pages. If you don't trust that, Basketball Reference. It's been players getting it in the NBA well before any of us were even sperm. So if you could call yourself a fan, do yourself a favor and go back and check some of that old school. You don't have to watch a game, but just, acknowledge what's going on. Acknowledge what happened before you. But shout out to Phoenix getting the pick. I forgot what pick Charlotte got because I'm a Hornets fan, but I can guarantee you this. They'll fuck it up. I can guarantee you right now. I might even put money on it. The Charlotte Hornets will draft Kevin Knox. Guaranteed. Put a stamp on it. seal that shit up, mail it. It's going to happen. I can smell it. And no offense to Kevin Knox, but he's not that type of player that's going to lead your franchise. Not right now. Not within the first 3 or 4 years. Because one thing I notice, when a player doesn't perform like you thought he was in college, especially in this one and done era, doesn't really transfer like that. Some players can fall off due to situations, but very rarely does, some of the players like build themselves up. Damian Lillard wasn't a surprise. Why? Because I watched him play. I watched him put up buckets at Weber State. And he got drafted in the lottery, which clearly shows you the kid had some talent. Same thing with CJ McCollum. They're not one and dones, but you know what I'm aiming at. He had a chance. Kevin Knox had a chance at Kentucky to be the star. Okay? And even with the rest of your teammates being highly recruited, highly ranked players, it's been players at Kentucky who stood out, even with that situation. The season prior, with De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, both of those guys played well. I know some will say, well, Malik Monk didn't play well for the Hornets. When he played in the last 2-3 months of the season after All-Star break, he was putting up good numbers when they finally let him touch the floor. But Kevin Knox didn't prove anything to me. He didn't show himself, not even to be serviceable, not even to be a Trevor Ariza. He bailed himself out from playing hard by shooting a whole bunch of damn jumpers. A lot of people were looking for him, Hamidou Diallo, to be Kentucky star and lead them forward. And they both let the squad down. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ended up being the one that shined by playing with his skill set and being the actual leader on that team. So, I don't have no confidence in Kevin Knox. I'm not going to do a mock draft right now. I'll probably save it for probably the week before the draft. But I'll give you some prospect analysis within the coming weeks. I think I'll start next week. I just pick I'm only going to do 20 players. I can't give you, unless you have a special request for a player, you can leave that in the comments section. I'm just going to do the top 20. I'm going to go on Draft Express. I'm going to go on NBADraft.net, Bleacher Report, and just see who they have as the top 20, and I'll formulate my own list from there. Did anybody watch the Big Three draft yesterday? They had the draft for the Big Three, the old man's league. They bought the YMCA 50 and over league to national television, and props to them for doing it, because they're not making NBA money, but it does have a following, and I give them props for that. Shout out to Cube doing big things. And shout out to the league. But the fact that they had a draft, it was nothing funny to me to watch a draft with a bunch of niggas over to the age of 35. And they had the little green room section. They weren't even in suits. It was in regular collar shirts and t-shirts and jeans. And they was actually making pics and giving them jerseys and taking pictures and shit. It was just funny. I wonder if it got any views. That's what I needed. I need to go on YouTube and see if people were watching it, because I don't know the ratings on it. But that'd be really funny. Still on the basketball tip, we had the draft combine this week. One thing that got on my fucking nerves was that expert analyst they had there from Draft Express giving players their scouting report right to their face. Who the fuck is this guy, man? Get the fuck out of here. No offense to Draft Express, pretty good site. But dude, if you was that good at scouting, guess what? You wouldn't be scouting for a website. They would be bringing you on for a team. And as far as scouting goes, you're not gonna find things that no other scouts haven't already found. As far as basketball goes, personality wise, I can't speak on that. But for him to do that, it was just corny as hell. A lot of kids gave good interviews. That's one thing I have noticed as the years have gone by, because I've been, following the draft since I was about 8-9 years old. So watching some of those interviews growing up, it was brutal. And I'm not just talking about the foreign players. I'm talking about regular American players, players from the homeland. They didn't talk. They couldn't talk that well. And I'm not saying that's a requirement for you to be a good NBA player. But I'm just saying, fuck TNT and ESPN. If you're going to bring players that you know that don't speak that well, and you putting them out there on Front Street like that, I think that's kind of fucked up. But nowadays, it's different. I think these kids are getting interview training while in high school, because a lot of the guys were, they was firing off those answers and, not getting backed into any corners about any bullshit or anything. So that was impressive. The bullshit came from when they had Muhammad Bamba and they said he won the draft combine because he spoke so well. Like, first of all, for all you guys that claim that you're expert basketball analysis, you should fucking know who's going to be next coming up. You know these kids are only going to be at school for 1 year, so you should already know who they are by the time they're high schools. When that senior year comes across, you should know some things, because, these kids are pretty much NBA prospects. They just got to wait a year. But for everybody being shocked and talk about how well he can speak, I knew while he was in high school that he had a scholarship offer from Harvard. I don't give a fuck how well you can play basketball. If you don't have the scores or the grades, Harvard is not even going to call your phone. So you think that a player that was being recruited by Harvard, and he was actually considering them too. I don't know how seriously, but he took the visits and, did all that. So what makes you think for a player that Harvard was looking for wouldn't speak well? That's some goofy ass shit, because all the players spoke well. Trae Young, Colin Sexton, Devontae Graham, Jaren Jackson Jr. Just get the fuck out of here. And with the draft combine, we gotta go into some people who took that L and people who took the dub. Motherfuckers who fucked up their chances probably, and some people who might have raced them. We're gonna go with the winners first. DiVincenzo, cat from most outstanding player in the championship game for Villanova, played good. Now, I'm not basing any of these on measurements or the physical test scores. Nah, this is by me watching drills and me watching the 5-on-5 play. And I think it's kind of lame that the top prospects don't play 5-on-5. Back in the gap, players were that competitive where they just had to. Unless you was on some LeBron shit and you knew you was going to be the one. But for me, I love ball that much. If I was in that situation, I would play. If I get hurt, fuck it. It's not. The league has shown that it has gotten better with patience, because the Clippers waited a year for Blake Griffin to play. The Sixers waited a year for Simmons to play. They waited 2 years for Embiid, Even with somebody like Sean Livingston with his horrible knee injury, team still gave him a chance, even knowing that he did that, Shout out to Sean Livingston for building himself back up, but I will play. DiVincenzo played great. There were a lot of plays where his opponents were trying to play him, thinking, just because he's a white boy, he won't be athletic enough to make these plays, and he proved them wrong. He stopped a couple of alleys. He stepped into passing lanes. He just was good. He played solid defense. He was distributing the ball, leading himself open, taking smart shots, showing some intangibles, getting gritty, getting a couple of rebounds and stuff like that. Like, he should go in the first. I think he'll go in the first round. I didn't really know too much about the guy other than he played for Villanova. He could shoot and that he was pretty decent. So I really didn't think he would be on the draft radar like that. But I think he's played himself into the first round. Another winner was Zaire Smith from Texas Tech. I already knew he was a good athlete, but he's improved a lot on the jump shot, and he looked pretty good throughout the process. And another player that won was Gary Trent Jr. If you watch Duke, you know the kid can shoot, but he showed more more of himself being more than a shooter and more of a scorer. He showed that he could score on all levels, and he was a good basketball player. I think he might have played himself into a lottery situation. And where there's winners, there are losers. Brandon McCoy, somebody I thought that could sneak to late lottery, mid first round. He looked like shit. I'm gonna just put it out there. I don't know what it was. He looked great when he played against DeAndre Ayton, but when it was while they were playing 5-on-5, he got to play against players that pushed back, and he wasn't as dominant in the inside as he was at UNLV. He just didn't look well, and he already didn't look athletic enough. He looked like he didn't do shit prior to this. He sat at home and ate pizza until it was time to do his thing, because he just didn't look good at all. And Tyus Battle from Syracuse. Good shooter, good athlete. Really has like a J.R. Smith type game back when J.R. was younger. He looked bad. I hope he didn't sign with the agent, because he just didn't look well. He just looked like it was just a totally different world out there. Like he wasn't prepared for this at all. And that's a bad look as far as who he has on his team, as far as a manager and things like that. Somebody should have told him, boy, you ain't ready. Sit your ass down somewhere. So you need to go take your ass to a gym and work on this jump shot. Because unless you shooting 46% from the 3-point line, you don't need to be coming out. And that's what it looked like. He looked ill-prepared, and he just looked like he wasn't ready. Did I have anything else on sports? Nope. It's a week from Mother's Day. I think it's a bullshit holiday, but I still celebrate it. Our family, we use holidays as times that we get together. So sometimes it isn't even about the holiday, because some holidays we don't even pass out gifts and shit like that. We just like the fellowship among family, because we all just running around doing our thing out here. But I got to enjoy Mother's Day with my mother, my grandmother, and my sister. All three mothers, all three doing their thing out here. And let me preface it with this. You might not like this shit, but fuck it. I do not like people saying being a mother is the hardest job there is. No, the fuck it is not. Yes, raising a child is a difficult thing. It's a tough task. You don't know what the fuck is going to happen. You can give your kids the guidance that they need to get through life, and the kid can still be a fuck up. So it's a crapshoot. You don't know. You just do what you do. You feed them, you give them advice, you take care of them, let them out there in the world with the things you taught them, and you don't know what the fuck can happen. So yes, it is a difficult job, but there are other difficult jobs that don't get any motherfucking props. And I would just like, for future commercials, say being a mother is one of the hardest jobs of all time. Because I've had to cook for the Army with thousands of motherfuckers. And I was so tired from doing all that damn cooking. It was the first and only time I sat down to pee. And yes, I felt like a bitch, but I was tired as a motherfucker. So there are tough jobs out there, man. Alright? Don't disrespect miners and other shit, and those ice truck drivers and motherfuckers who fight those hard ass waters, because the water is its own monster, and that motherfucker is unpredictable, and you ain't doing out there but just trying to get crabs so a motherfucker can eat his ultimate feast at Red Lobster. Stop eating at Red Lobster, go to a local market, get you some fucking seafood. I think Red Lobster has even went to the point where they sell the biscuits in the grocery store. Just go get your fucking biscuits at the grocery store. Stop going to Red Lobster. But there's other tough jobs out there, okay? I can tell you this right now. I know a lot of mothers will pass up on some of these other fucking jobs to sit at home and make sure this kid don't eat paint, okay? But, shout out to moms. Shout out to my mom. Little quick history. Mom's was cool. goofy, but also stern. Teenage years, she turned into a hard ass because, she was trying to keep me from being a bum in life, and it wasn't leading that way. But, she just wanted to make sure she was guiding me in the right direction. As I got older, we got closer. She's one of my best friends now. I love moms. So I don't know if anybody else got like this when they got older. It's so easy to talk to my mom about stuff that I did as a teenager without her getting mad. Because if I told her in my 20s, she would be fucking pissed. But shout out to moms. Shout out to my grandma. My grandma is all of 4'9". She drives 5 miles under the speed limit, but I love her to death. And she is a G. Tongue sharp as a razor blade, and she will tear your ass off. Yeah, but I love her to death. Always been a rider. Always been in my corner. And shout out to Grandma for finally learning how to text in 2018. I think Grandma getting ready to be 83 in July. She finally learned how to text, sending pictures. Now she can check on me at all times, And shout out to my sister, raising kids. Like I said, this isn't the hardest job, but it's definitely tough. And for her to do it on Dolo, shout out to her, man. Do your thing. I don't know the situation you had with those, but you're raising 2 great kids, and love all of y'all. And shout out to all the moms out there that's actually doing their thing, okay? That's actually doing their thing. Taking care of the kids, being a rider for your husband, or your baby daddy, your boyfriend, whatever the fuck it is. Because I don't think you should be bringing kids in this world unless both of you are going to be doing this shit together. Now, you don't need the title of wife and husband or boyfriend and girlfriend. You just, co-parent. Both of us are going to work together despite whatever fucking differences we got to make sure that this kid is taken care of mentally, physically, and spiritually, any way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't know the situation for people, when they're not in their child's life. I can't speak on that. But as far as I go, I'm not going to bring no child into this world unless I could be there for them at all times. I couldn't picture growing up without my father, and I couldn't picture bringing a kid into this world and not being there for it, okay? So, I don't know your situations if you're not there for your kids, but, do what you got to do, man. We gotta get these kids, I'm not going to say back in order, because kids will always be kids. They'll be a little hard-headed, they'll give you troubles from, here and there, but, if you're there for them, and you can answer the questions that they need, or be there for them in whatever way they're looking for you to do that, go ahead, man. Because, that's what our job is as adults and parents, is to make the world safer, easier for the next generation. And that doesn't necessarily mean you got to get the bag for them. It don't necessarily mean you got to get that money. Advice goes just as long as a way. Visuals of, kids watching you do certain things can go a long way. So, that's it for the pod. Appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. If you don't, appreciate you clicking on the video anyway. Shout out to my niece. People been dying over the picture. Even people that haven't, my day-to-day friends I chat with, people that I randomly put on the pod, they love the picture. Shout out to Simone. Uncle Jamal loves you and appreciates you. Boy's old ass is finally moving. He's not corpse no more. Be easy, be blessed, and be you. Howdy.